Dice. I want to give some advice to liars. I happen to be an honest person myself, but I want to give some advice to liars on how to lie better. But before I do that, I want to talk about why not to lie so we do understand this. I've answered this age-old question. Philosophers for ages literally have been asking, why be honest? Why not lie? And they all agree, well, lying's wrong, it's bad, and we're against it. We like honesty, but it's so damn useful. Now that itself is debatable, and really that's what has been debated by the moralists against this view that that lying might be useful and therefore on practical grounds and utilitarian grounds and all sorts of grounds justifiable and even advisable. My own view really is in that case is simply that I think anything you get by lying, these so-called benefits, is fake. Like let's say you somehow cheat at a race and you run on to the course, the marathon, right before the end or something, or just play with the paperwork and don't even race in the race at all. You didn't really win the race. I mean, people go, well, but I won $1 million and the Xbox I bought was real. Whatever. This is. So, but besides that, that's not my argument against it. Because I don't think that goes anywhere. That resolves down to personal preferences. My argument that's compelling for all humans has to do with humans have finite minds. Finite minds. Now, if you want to be a good liar, you have to do several things, right? One, you have to remember the truth. Okay. Right. Two, you're going to have to remember why you lied. Okay. And three, you're going to have to remember what you told everybody else. And since often a lie involves telling different people different things, it's at least 3 times as much to remember. And even more in the sense that often if you lied about something, it's the kind of thing you just as soon forget. You wouldn't mind forgetting, freeing up your mind for something else. And you can't because you lied. Right? But let's just say at least 3 times more expensive every lie compared to the truth that you could have been remembering alone without the lies and all the subterfuge. So if you're a good liar, it's going to make you stupid. If you're a liar, let's just talk about people that habitually lie. But if you're a habitual liar, but you're good at it, you're going to be stupid because you're having a much reduced capacity to think of the truths of reality because you're wasting all this space with stuff to perpetuate your lie. Okay. And if you fail at these things, which most habitual liars don't have that. I mean, they wouldn't be liars if they had that kind of energy. The common liar that you meet doesn't have that kind of energy. Gets known as a liar, and then you don't believe anything they say, which costs them. And the funny common thing to me is when a liar is like telling the truth, it's like, oh, see, they don't believe me. See, nobody ever believes me. It's like, yeah, it's because you're a fucking liar. It's easier not to believe. It's more frustrating when you finally tell the truth, and we can't believe that either. We have to go do just as much work to confirm that is the truth as we did to find out you were lying to us the other time. It's like, fuck you. Right? So, you're just wasting mental space if you lie. Now, that doesn't mean you don't lie. Let's say you're a shop owner and the Nazis come to your door and they want to know if you've got Anne Frank upstairs, and you do. No, I don't. You lie. That would be my first round of defense. Right? A lie. But I'm going to make it an efficient lie. I'm going to try to tell the people one story. All the Nazis. If I get in a situation where I've told one thing, maybe I've thought of a better idea and told someone else, another Nazi, another thing, I will tell them a new story that integrates them, right? So they could be efficient. So in the end, I'm remembering just one thing, and I'll tell all the people, my friends, yeah, I've got Anne Frank, and here's how I got out of it. Here's the lie I told. Could you remember it too? comes out. A personal thing that works for me as a deterrent to lying is simply that I figured out that when you lie, you're admitting that you're weak. You're weaker. And I don't mean morally weak. Fuck that. I mean ignoring moralism. I don't believe you can make a lying argument on moralism. Really. But you're weaker than them in some material way. You know, those Nazis have more violent force to bring to bear than I do, so I lie to them. And I can face the reality of that. Yes, we have less guns than the Nazis do. This is what we're going to do. We are going to lie. The family is fine with this. It's the morally right thing to do. Because we are weaker. We admit that. All the honesty makes things click together in a sensible way. If it is sensible. Which it is. But I don't really like admitting that I'm weaker than someone else. So, in some respect, you know, that physical violence is almost, well, it's the easy example. When you're just plainly outpowered with violence, it's easy. That's one of the easiest times to admit, yeah, you're outgunned. But in any case, you know, emotionally, somebody who can do nothing to you but make you feel bad, or you promise them and now you failed and that makes you feel bad, and these kinds of things where you're weaker than them for some reason that maybe even is just emotional. And I am not very eager to admit that or have that be the case. Now, this advice I give is for individualists. Like, when I grow old, I want to be eccentric, and you know, I am already. It's obviously working. I want to be the kind of person that makes the young people laugh just because, you know, it's like they get it, but they don't get it, and they're surprised, and they learn not to be, and that you have character, that you figured out what's peculiar, and you become individual. That's what happens if you're honest, right? There's a lot of reasons not to be honest. Like in our culture, you have to tell at least lies, many, many lies of the white lie variety, to really connect in the way people expect to connect, most people. You know. So you're going to lose some friends if you decide, well, I'm going to be honest and see where the chips fall, you know. But if you want to be an individualist, if you're the kind of person that says, I've got to be true to myself, and if there's nobody compatible with me for friendship or something else, then that's just what I have to deal with. And if that sounds like, well, that would be unfortunate even. But you're willing, it's like, well, if that's the way it was, then that's the way it is. My advice is good for you about honesty and being honest and realizing. On the other hand, if you're the kind of person that when you're old wants to be seen as a pillar of the society and knowing what was right, at least what used to be right, then maybe my advice isn't so good. I don't know. But it's still materially correct. You will be stupider spending. I mean, this is really my theory on intelligence and IQ. I think people are super geniuses that just spend all their super genius on lying, and it gets so complicated, such weird, inefficient algorithms involved with lying, and loops of loops and loops, that you know, even a supercomputer gets bogged down with a bad design like that. Right? So the advice to the liars, though, I was just going to say a simple thing. I mean, one thing you do when somebody asks you a question, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have to lie. Often the bad liars, you know, act dumbfounded. What? What are you talking about? Oh, I didn't hear you. Well, huh? Would you, huh? Kids, famous at this. You can totally tell 9 out of 10 kids if they're lying. When you ask them something, they're like, huh? On the other hand, I met one guy, this kid who, the guy's kind of on him a lot. And so the kid is like always acting like he's probably going to get in trouble, and he didn't really do anything. So he always acts like that. But it is because of a lie. It's just that he's lying while he figures out what the fuck's going on, and did he do something? He's not sure. Kind of funny. They don't have as bad a relationship as that might sound. They're fine. This is a very within the realm of moderate interaction. I just see that, and I thought, is he lying? And then I realized, no, he's just kind of dumbfounded. And then in my case, I was the sort of kid that slow to conclude I knew what was going on, so I might act like, what? Because I, honestly. On the other hand, again, if I went with my first thought, there's something honest about going with your first impression and the first thought to your mind, as opposed to one that's well thought out and constructed. So there's a balance always there between, well, here's what I thought all along the way, or wait a second, let me get this presentable. Right? So don't do that. Never, when you're buying time, never act dumbfounded if you're going to tell a lie. Only do that if you really are dumbfounded, and it'll sustain. Because you have to act like you're thinking about what they said. If you need to buy yourself time, you have to act like you're thinking about what those people said. You know, you don't go, huh? What's a car at a restaurant? Well, huh? What do you mean car? Be more like, oh yeah, the car, yeah, I did see that. What? Whose car is that again? Right. You know, minimize. The other thing is, you need to hide all your deception and truths. When you're telling a story, the more truth you can tell, the more obscure the lie becomes, even if it's found out later. All right, now why would I tell liars how to lie? I'm an honest person. I think you fucking liars should. Well, I don't want to be mean, since we all lie a little bit. It's because I think we need to be more honest about lying. And I think when you're more honest about lying, it makes you more honest. And I think if you face like what I said, if you were a liar and you're like, oh, good advice, I'm going to lie this way. I'm in the middle of a lie right now. Thanks, Piero. I think you're already a liar. And there's a subtle vector towards honesty that comes out. Because, like, for example, sometimes you'll sit there and you'll go, well, I want to tell a lie because I want to get away with this thing or other. But if you visualize it realistically and you're honest about lying, you'll also see it's going to be a lot of work to maintain this particular lie. And the truth might actually be better. And your creative capacity might get inspired to think of a way that isn't so costly to get what you really wanted. Besides a lie that would only take being brave, being strong, going to the person you're going to lie to, which you probably have these fucked up ideas about them being fucked up in some way that justifies them lying, but just realize, no, all you're really saying is you're weaker than them. So if they're fucked up, maybe you should just be honest and take the strong ground and say, hey, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. You might be surprised and they go, really? That's screwed up. No way, I'm upset. But okay, you never know. And it happens more often than you think. And also ending a lie, confessing. It's painful. It gets more and more painful as time goes on. And with some lies, let's face it, it's too painful. The person really is right that they wouldn't want to face it. But often people misjudge where the energy in their life is going. And if they confess, they don't have to lie anymore. Often you can confess and continue to do the thing you were lying about and really be on an okay, footing with at least a lot of people, compared to what was happening as these other people detected your failures to be the good liar and started to get a lack of trust growing and all the ramifications of that. And if there's something bad about the relationship of what would be going on, it's like, well, if you don't lie about something, there's something dysfunctional about it. At least it would be honest. And you would know you're putting energy into this to maintain it, hopefully for some other justifiable reason, or at least just for knowledge to eventually learn. You're almost always in a better situation. If you have two dysfunctional situations, and one is honest and one is not. One is like, we don't have a problem, we're just happy. And the other one is like, we have a big ass problem, but we put up with it and we yell at each other. Now that second one is going to think often in our culture that we're bad people because of this. And the first one's going to think we're good people. But whether they're good or bad doesn't matter. At least the honest one knows what's what. If they're bad, they're bad. If it doesn't matter, whatever. They might have to deal with their emotional issues about it. But at least they have something to deal with. Okay. And I'm almost 44 and I'm just tired of, it's like the liars are a pain in the ass, right? But one thing I'm just tired of is how bad of liars they are. It's like, couldn't you at least put some effort into it? I mean, you lie, that's bad enough. You don't even try. That's just insult to injury. Because, you know, I mean, lying, I'm against it, but, you know, when someone starts lying, it's not like, shut up. I listen, man. You learn a lot about a person about how they lie. Bill Clinton's lie, we learned about him. Now, ironically, I was radically political enough. I hated him from the primary on, and he won. It wasn't until years after he left I started to get a little bit of appreciation for him. And I think watching him lie is what revealed to me some of the actual nature of that man. And I had been so negative on him that it was actually improved my view. But it showed a lot of bad things, him lying to people who vouched for him, and then a couple days later he admits he's lying and all this stuff. But compared to Herman Cain's lie, well, it almost shows a sense of privilege. Even though it might be exaggerated, I don't believe necessarily what the woman was saying literally. I mean, maybe he put his hand on her knee and she said it was towards her genitals, or maybe it was. But even assuming that maybe he just brushed her knee, his reaction, the kind of lie he said, he didn't say, hey, I just brushed her knee. You know, it's kind of a privilege and he shouldn't be questioned on it, and just, he treated us stupidly. Well, I don't know, I hope it wasn't a lot. He did some lying cues that are like, they're only things that people that lie frequently do, where you need a lot of, you know, little tools to help you, like too much detail. And if people, you know, try to lie better by being able to have ideas in store, so for example, they don't have to act dumbfounded, they have something to think about because they've thought about the subject, they've thought about the lie, and if someone asked them, what would they say? They prepared for the lie. Well, most people spending all that time and work, you know, is effort that they might consider rather not doing. But there's also the issue, the simple fact of at least they're thinking about it. A lot of liars just remember their lie. You know, they'll forget the truth and lose track of reality. Or they'll think of the lie just enough to get the person to walk away, and they don't think about it again until they're approached again. And it'd be better if in between they're going, geez, I lied, and thinking it over, because that's what leads to honesty among people that might be lying too much, is thinking about it. How could they have done it different? And at least in the future, what they would do different. And oddly or ironically enough, this kind of honesty can sometimes come from trying to think of how to tell a better lie. Can lead you to the best lie is the truth. And it's not a lie. And it works best. You know. And there's some surreal, ironic things down at that level, because if you have a feeling and you want to put it in words, it's not just a matter of being honest. Once you're committed to being honest, then you have to try to figure out how to express yourself. And that's difficult, capturing your idea in a way that represents it well, right? So you have the noise left over. Once you're trying to be honest, you have the noise of, oh my God, it's difficult to put it right of what I'm really thinking. And so there's this gradation all the way from better lying to less lying to honest lying, you know, where the gist of things gets through, and then to honesty, where there is no intentional lying. Rather, there's the misrepresentation that comes in due to the complication and artistry involved in representation. All right. Thanks for bearing with me. I don't know why I said that. Cheers.